of our friends come in.
Okay.
I think it might help to put the earphones in because right now I can hear an echo.
Oh, okay. I just bought the fancy iPod Air. I just didn't have time to unpack it.
No worries. All right, we are live, and we're just gonna wait a couple more minutes until some of our friends join us.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because then I don't hear an echo.
Okay. Are we on already?
Yep, we're on.
Oh, great.
Awesome. But no one's really in yet, so usually I like to wait like 2 or 3 minutes.
We have anybody on? There's
Not
no
yet.
way for me to tell?
Mm-mm.
So as a guest, I won't be able to tell if...
No. So those of you just joining us, this is our first time that we're doing this in separate rooms, but it's safer, 1, and 2, better because I feel like I can like post up the questions and stuff that you have for Dr. Millen. So yeah, as we wait for some people to come in, because it does take like 2 or 3 minutes, notifications get sent out and all that good stuff. Do you want to go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about yourself? I know you did last stream, but not this stream. And I'm hoping that there's more people.
I know, that'll be great. Yeah. I'm Dr. Millen Cheverker. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm located here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Amanda is my wonderful assistant, and we're working here in Campbell, near San Jose. Yeah, we're a small practice devoted to doing sort of what's called integrative medicine, or it's a combination of basically conventional medicine and natural medicine. I have worked in family practice for 18 years. I'm also a midwife and have done women's health for 22 years. So moving into this new space, which I think we hear a lot about on Dr. Oz and sort of the famous TV physicians. And so kind of wanted to make it the real deal for, people like you and me, and it doesn't have to be something that, only a certain type of people can access. A lot of us only go in to see our provider and we get 15 minutes with them, and it's barely enough time to go over lab results and maybe get a prescription. And really, I think our focus is at Lotus Integrative Health to provide more time and really a deeper level discussion and a personalized medicine approach rather than sort of this in and out, which we see with the medical system today. And I think all of us are suffering because of that. We just don't get the time and space we need to really uncover what's going on with our health, how we can prevent illness and just lead longer and happier lives. So last week we talked about sort of the microbiome and our digestive systems and how to stay healthy, and maybe a little bit about what to eat. And I think there was so much energy around that. Right, Amanda? I mean, we got a lot of people looking at that video.
Yeah, I was going back and looking on some of the videos that I had posted in the past, and had a good amount of people checking it out. So I figured, if we could touch base on things that are us and the Twitch community would be interested in, it'd be really beneficial. So why don't you give us like the definition of?
Well, and what
I can't even say it.
Intermittent fasting.
Okay.
It's like the new craze. And, everyone I ever talk to, and I don't know if you're talking to people, everyone's like, oh, I'm doing intermittent fasting. I'm doing 16/8, or I'm doing, whatever number of hours they're eating in a day. And so entering this space, I want to find a natural way for people to stay healthy. And, I tried intermittent fasting last year and totally failed at it. Like, I did it for a week. I hated it. I was starving. I felt miserable. My energy went down. And so I thought, no, I need to get more information. And it really is sort of what those of us in integrative medicine, sort of some of the trainings I'm doing. It's also called functional medicine, looking at root cause of disease. It's sort of what all the gurus are telling us to do. And so I wanted to kind of understand it more. And so I'm taking a lot of my information and I wanted to show everybody this book. It's called The Obesity Code and it's by Dr. Jason Fung. And he's got some new theories on why we as a country are so overweight. And I was shocked. I went and looked today, Amanda. We have obesity epidemic. I mean, did you know 2/3 of adults in America are overweight or obese?
Wow.
A third each. A third are obese and a third are overweight. So obviously we just aren't, as somebody who's worked in the medical field for 20 plus years, what did we do wrong? What are we telling people? We're telling people the wrong thing. So I want to tell people the right thing. And I don't know if this is, right now we're going to see if research bears out to intermittent fasting, but I want to discuss it a little bit more. I want people to know what it is. And then to really understand why, like last year when I did it, it just didn't work for me. And I figured out why, because I'm doing it now. And I think there's some reasonable ways to kind of overcome some of the hurdles people have with intermittent fasting.
So I think
So, Go ahead.
So I think, like, for example, myself, I'm just pretty average, like, person. I'm maybe a little bit overweight.
You're more than average. Come on.
I'm not the ideal, weight.
Oh, you mean by weight? I thought you're a phenomenal person. So don't call yourself average. All right.
Just the average person in general, though. Like, where do you even start? I feel like
Right.
if I want to do intermittent, I said it.
You said it almost. Yeah.
Okay. I want to start the correct way. I think what people, especially myself, are just like, okay, go. Like, I'm going to try this diet today. And then they do it for 2 days and then it's failed. And then that could actually be harmful to you, I'm assuming.
I think that's the fault. Yes.
Do keto for a week and that's it. And then it's like, okay, but the interaction with the other, things. So I think what would be, I guess, the starting point for someone who is interested in doing that?
One thing I wanted to do before we really get into intermittent fasting is to kind of go over, because I think the start really comes with us understanding what our misconceptions about weight are. And that really comes from understanding what we've learned about weight and what we've been taught about exercise and nutrition. And I can tell you right now, this book is going to tell you everything we've learned is a mess. Like that's why we're in this state. That's why 2/3 of us are overweight or obese. And it really comes down to that we think, well, it started in sort of the 70s and 80s. And I think you guys all remember, we all were told to eat low fat. And so what happened and that came from some research where what happened is when you look at the history of what we've been fighting for disease, is we were fighting infection. And so as we improved infections, because we had antibiotics now, we started looking at what else was causing death in people, and it was heart disease. And so we assumed heart disease was a buildup of cholesterol in the arteries. And so therefore we should go low fat. And what did low fat mean? Low fat meant high carbohydrates. And so what did we all start eating? We started eating. Do you remember margarine? Did you eat any margarine when you were a kid?
Yes, but recently, like within the last couple of years, when my parents, because they're very on top of like their health and whatnot, which I'm very grateful for. My mom switched it. She doesn't do margarine anymore. She only does real butter, which is not that much better, but it's better.
Yes.
And now, like when I bake, like we only use that, but we don't use it often.
Right.
We don't use margarine at all anymore.
So for a long time,
It was a lot of like the what was
Betty
it?
Crocker, yeah.
The country crop.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened to all of us. We all went on this sort of no butter, no fat, and we all did it. From 1976 to 1996, we decreased fat intake from 45% to 35% of all calories. But guess what? We're getting overweight. We're all getting bigger. And that's because when we reduced our fat, we got hungry and we started eating more carbs. And those carbs really, we went from being 15% obese to 40% obese in this country. So it really came down to sort of where I think modern medicine screwed up. We started teaching everybody what, what they should eat, and it was wrong. It was based on obviously faulty research. So, I think we've got a couple myths. Number one, that we have control over our weight. 70% of weight is, according to Dr. Fung, 70% of our weight's determined by our genetics. So, that's why you see tall people running, in tall families, you see tall people, and short families, you see short people. So weight is determined by genetics too. But there's still 30% of it, which we can control. Right. And so, and that's sort of where we need to, or 30% of it, which we can influence with, with how we function. And so we're going to talk a little bit about sort of some of the myths that we've been taught. And you were talking about, where do we start? And I think we have to understand that calories in is calories. We've been taught calories in and calories out. Like if I eat less and I exercise more, I'm going to lose weight. How many of us think that? I've thought that for years, right?
Yeah.
And I've been for years. I'm a big person. I've been big since I was little. I always exercised like crazy and ate salads and didn't lose much weight. And the reason is because that's based on some faulty yeah, somebody's commenting, Veto's commenting, all these diets are so extreme, and that's what keeps our bodies confused. And I think balance is the key, and that's what we're going to talk about. I do think that when you're looking at intermittent fasting, you have to really come from, that's why I want to talk about some of these myths that we have in our head that I think we need to clear out if we're going to really approach health from a really balanced perspective, like Rita was talking about. So, calories in and calories out. Yeah.
Let me just welcome everybody again. We have a nice group of friends in here.
Yay, hi.
Sister Alyssa, DJ D-Bon, my moderators Amanda and Susie Bay, PJ, Vero. Thank you guys all for being here. Hopefully we get to a lot of important stuff that you guys would like to know. Noemi, hello. Roxy Jane, thank you guys all for being here. We started doing this a couple weeks ago, and it was pretty successful, and the conversation was awesome. So that's what we're kind of shooting for today. Feel free to ask any questions. Dr. Millen's gonna kind of just go over like the general idea of intermittent fasting, and then we'll kind of go question and answer from there. But even if you do ask a question, I'll try to highlight it and we'll get it answered. Just a reminder that, of course, this is just the information on here. It's not implied to be substituted for, your doctor or, talking to your health professional. It's just recommendations and kind of like information. And then we'll also give you guys some information if you're located in California, how you could possibly use our services to assist you in pretty much a lot of your health interests. So let's see. We are okay, D-Bon. I don't know if you're heck of skinny, so
this isn't also just about health. Yeah, it's not about weight.
He said, I have a skinny problem. I have to eat 3,000 calories just to keep up with my skinny self. Well, and
everybody's different.
So that it's genetics. too. It's not
Yeah,
only
right.
like
70%, right? 70%
yeah.
is genetic. So, if I have overweight parents, both my parents are overweight, nice, chunky looking people.
Mhm.
But we not only have to look at weight, we have to look at health. And I think there's some benefits to intermittent fasting. What I was talking about was, some of the myths we have in our head about weight.
Yes. Hmm.
Calories in equals calories out. Like, oh, I have to reduce my calorie intake. Well, if you reduce your calorie intake, you're going to reduce your metabolic rate, your basal metabolic rate. So if you reduce your intake, you're probably going to reduce your expenditure of energy. So that's one myth. Um, there's another myth that, I'm just going to keep gaining weight. Your body have faith in your body. Your body is tightly regulated. You have fat stores are regulated. Your eating is, believe it or not, regulated. And there's a reason. And we're going to talk about why and why intermittent fasting might work. Um, but really it comes down to this idea that exercise, if I exercise myself out of, you know, of if I keep exercising, I'm going to lose weight. Again, your body's tightly regulated and you have a set weight point in your brain. And so that is what helps regulate your weight. It's not about, oh, let me change up, if I eat less or if I exercise more. Sometimes these things aren't working because it's really tough to change that set weight. And so the way intermittent fasting really works is this new theory, which Dr. Fung is promoting, is that insulin is what sets our weight in our brains. And so when we keep eating carbohydrates, and some proteins, protein also stimulates insulin release. When we keep increasing our insulin, then that's kind of what sets our weight higher and higher. And so, um, we think of obesity or weight issues as a reason based on calories. It's really not about calories, it's about hormones. And we really need to think of our regulation of our fat is a hormonal issue and not a calorie issue. I think a lot of people have a lot of shame around weight because, it's like, oh, I can't control myself. I'm eating all the time. And really, that eating is coming from your brain. Your brain is trying to balance itself out. And that's why you have this dysregulation of fat. And that's where you get the obesity problem. So it's really about understanding that your calories in and your calories out are synchronized, that your hormone signals are what are kind of adjusting your basal metabolic rate and cause you to either gain or lose weight. Your hunger and satiety. So there's hormones that regulate that. I'm sure you guys have heard of some like leptin and things like that. Hunger and satiety play a role in determining what we eat. So when we're hungry, that's where you get, oh, I haven't eaten all day. I'm starving. Well, your body's trying to regulate your fat and your weight. Um, and that your fat stores are tightly regulated and respond to what food intake and activity you have. And of course, we all know this, different calories have different kinds of effects on our body. So a calorie from, packet of sugar is not the same as calories from vegetables. So that's going to have a different effect on your body. So, is everybody on board? Everybody understands sort of where this new theory is of obesity and weight, and it's not about calories and our control. It's really about how our hormones are working in our body. So,
So can you just kind of give us like a
mhm.
definition of just kind of defining what exactly fasting is?
Yeah. So the fasting is going to impact your insulin. And that's kind of what I was going to talk about next, is that if weight is determined by insulin levels, then what we're doing by fasting or intermittent fasting, and intermittent fasting means, oh, I'm going to eat a certain number of hours in the day and I'm going to fast a certain number of hours in that 24-hour period. So maybe you're going to eat from 8 to 5 and then I'm going to fast from 5 in the evening till 8 in the morning, whatever your set definition is of fasting. And so by doing that, what you're doing is really lowering your insulin levels. Because if you're constantly eating and you're constantly, we were told, oh, you should be snacking, and that's actually now sort of going out the door, because guess what? What are we doing when we're snacking? Our insulin levels are just going up and up and up. And guess what? We're eating those calories, our insulin's up, then our body's shifting to try to figure out what to do with that extra calories. Those are going into fat stores, and as we keep putting them into fat stores, the body upregulates the weight.
Wow.
So that's kind of where this idea of reducing the number of times we eat to 3 times a day, or reducing it to 1 time a day, depending on what you want to do,
Mhm.
is really the idea of, number one, weight loss. And there aren't studies that show intermittent fasting. We don't have them yet, that intermittent fasting gives you long-term weight loss. So if people are looking for permanent weight loss, but it might be the clue into trying to reduce that set weight in your brain. And that's why it's such the buzz. And you're hearing a lot of people, really crazy about intermittent fasting.
Oh yeah, I hear it. I mean, even like us on Twitch, we listen to our morning streams and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and
Yeah.
we are always consistently. I would say like 75% of chats on Twitch are food based, talking about
Yes.
like literally. My sister just mentioned we were listening to a DJ right before this, and it's always about food.
Yeah. Well,
So
we're all obsessed with food, right? We
yeah,
all love it. And some theory might be that when we're eating certain types of foods, and if we're eating really sugary foods, then that insulin level goes up and it makes us want to crave more and more sugary foods. And so this is where that vicious cycle might be in eating really. And we as a country started drinking soda, and the soda intake went up. And it really is, when you look at the graphs, that soda is really on par with obesity rates and weight rates.
I
So,
can relate to the sugar craving. Like
oh, so same with me.
it's
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like I want a cupcake or I want a donut, and then the next thing I know, like a day after, I'm like, I'm craving a soda. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like finding alternatives is what I'm trying to do. But I made a funfetti rainbow chip cake the other night, and I'm taking a bite here and there. Now I have a friend who lives nearby me. I'm like, do you want half a cake? Because I'm leaving and I don't want to waste it.
A nutritionist once told, one of the nutritionists I work with, she told me that if you took 3 bites of something, that, where you get that craving for the taste of something,
Uh-huh.
that usually that fulfills the taste craving, and you've hit the bar on that sort of
Oh,
need
wow.
to eat. Yeah. So I always try to take 3 bites of something and just see, okay, give it a moment. Did I hit the need? And that's like my little trick
Mm.
of trying to kind of get a little bite of something that we know is tasty and yummy and hits those pleasure centers in the brain,
Yes.
but without feeling like you ate the whole cake, right? I mean, that's kind of like the downside.
That and
So
munchies don't help. So
yeah, we
uh,
won't talk about what kind of munchies, but anyway.
I know. I have to yeah. So that's like those are my challenges. I love sweets, and then I like
Yeah.
cook and bake. So it's like it's
Well, one thing you're going to find with intermittent fasting is, number one, it's really easy, because I think that's why it's taken off so much, is like you could do it anytime, anywhere. You don't need any special tools to do it. You can just decide to, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And it's so common for so many cultures and faiths to fast. So this is something that's been around for a
yeah,
long time. And you can adjust it to what you want to do. I think you're going to see with intermittent fasting those cravings go down, and part of it is you're lowering those insulin levels.
yeah,
And intermittent fasting has great, I think it has stronger evidence in the research for preventing inflammation, decreasing chronic disease, autoimmune disease, chronic diseases. Oh, good. Somebody likes my 3 bite rule.
I like that too. I really like that. If I
um,
could stop, that's where I would need help.
Well, and that rule might help you do intermittent fasting, because you part of it is this, in the brain is really powerful. It's like when you deny it something, it wants it even more.
Yeah,
So part of my journey, and I think all of us, is trying to figure out how to be healthy but not feel deprived. We want to feel like we're enjoying life, and so that's, I think, where intermittent fasting can really be helpful. And especially, like, I saw this woman, just to take, I know we have a lot more younger people on here, and most probably more healthy. But when I learned about, I did a lecture from a woman who has multiple sclerosis. She's a famous physician. She was in a wheelchair and she just started doing intermittent fasting and decreasing inflammation. And she got out of her wheelchair with from multiple sclerosis
Wow.
and was able to walk, and now of course does intermittent fasting as part of her life and has controlled her multiple sclerosis, and is able to walk and exercise. And her name is Dr. Terry Walls, and WAHLS, and she created this Walls protocol, which is based a lot on types of foods and fasting, and that really moved me to really start again, because
Yeah.
we also want to stay healthy. And when you look at people who fast, they live longer, they have less disease. And if anything, that's probably more of a reason to do intermittent fasting than, or to do some fasting in your life, um, because that will help you, in the long run. So if it's not really the weight, it's really about staying healthy.
Wow.
And so, I want to remind people, though, that if they're going to try intermittent fasting, you really shouldn't have any severe diseases. You shouldn't be pregnant. You shouldn't be breastfeeding. You shouldn't have any eating disorders. You shouldn't have any congenital disorders. I mean, I don't want to say, oh, everybody go out and intermittent fast. Obviously, you should check with your provider
Right.
before you try it, because there's some, a lot of people can get weak with, if they're starting out. That's why I want to do it with people to
Mhm.
help support them, because I do think I learned a lot of things in the last 2 months doing it, and I've stayed on it. It's been 2 months since I've been intermittent fasting,
Oh, wow.
and I can tell you, I can see a difference in my health. My vision is sharper. I feel more energetic.
I need to do
Um, and you know, I can tell my memory is sharper. There's a lot of, and the research shows all that proves your blood pressure, improves your cholesterol, improves your inflammation, improves your energy levels, your cognition, memory. There's a lot of benefits to it.
that. Wow.
So,
So we have a question. I don't know if it pertains to intermittent fasting, but
yeah.
maybe we could just touch base since we are taking questions. Mrs. Sam, thank you for joining us, and thank you for subscribing. I saw that you subscribed, so welcome. And we'll touch base on this real fast and maybe try to, I
Yeah.
guess, kind of connect it to fasting if it is, and if not, then
It
um,
totally is. Yeah, I think so. Do you think there's a connection with craving sweets and menopause and women's cycles? Absolutely. Again, if we go from the theory that it's about in and out, calories in and out, and we move to an idea that it's about hormones, we have to remember that all of us have a different mix of hormones: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And, men predominantly testosterone, women estrogen and progesterone. So, as we move through our, for women, I mean, I know the guys are going to learn something about the women here. As we move through our cycle, we are, of course, influenced. Those hormones are interfacing with insulin and interfacing with cortisol, which is another hormone that we talk a lot about in functional integrative medicine. We don't do it in conventional medicine. We don't test for cortisol. We do test for it in functional medicine. Cortisol is linked to our stress levels. So when you interface estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, and insulin, along with all the other hormones that control our body, but those are the main ones, and our thyroid, we are really, those are all influencing each other, right? We don't in integrative medicine, we don't compartmentalize, oh, this is your heart system or your lung system. Everything's working together. And when we look at obesity and weight, and as an integrative system, then we know that our women's hormones are definitely going to affect the way we're eating. Why do we get hungry at certain times in our cycle? Because our hormones are up or down, or whatever's going on. Or you may be stressed, and throw that in the mix. You've got something that's affecting your need for carbohydrates, and it's probably your insulin's gone up based on whatever estrogen and progesterone levels you have. So absolutely a wonderful question, totally on the mark. And that's why I think the next one we got to do is on hormones. Amanda, we've got to talk about hormones the next, because we've totally not given that enough. In conventional medicine, we gloss over people's hormones. Oh, your hormones are whatever they are, but your hormones are really impacting every system in your body.
Wow.
Not just your reproductive organs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. And this is kind of why I wanted to incorporate you into, the stream, because now that I have this platform and so many amazing Twitch family, I feel like important information that we can share is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through and say hello to some more friends.
Yeah.
Hi, T's in here. Hi, JJ. Another one of my moderators and sisters. See who else is. I saw Mama Cookies in here, and hi, thanks for joining, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Yes, Africa's hi. Awesome. The Real Bill Pill, hello, welcome. Primo Swift, hi, thanks for joining. DJ Slim D, yeah. So there's a good amount of us in here.
Nice.
So feel free to ask any questions that you have pertaining to intermittent fasting. This is kind of like a series that I've started a couple weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun and very informative. Last week I got a lot of great feedback, and also looking back on my videos, a lot of people watch the stream as well. So that's amazing. Mama Cookie, she's amazing. I love her so much. She says that she's been doing intermittent fasting and on and off for over a year, and it's great info. So I guess that's what I also want to know.
Right.
As far as
how do you start?
What's the change in your body when you first start? Right. Because I feel like that's, I think, what maybe people get turned off. Maybe they feel a certain way, like you were saying, and then you just give up. It's kind of like, is it something where everyone has their own time frame when your body gets used to it, or is it 2 months, 3 months? Like how long does it usually take for your body to kind of get used to that, or does it ever, or is it just a matter of your being strict on yourself as far as doing that?
Well, I think part of the reason a lot of people don't feel good, first of all, it's a big change, right? If you're making a change like that, it's going to be big.
Right.
And on top of that, everybody's body is different, right? We can't, what's going to happen to you is going to be different than what happens to me. A lot of people also go for these really harsh windows. Oh, what's up? The light went off?
It's okay. Uh-oh. It's fine. Okay. You can see me still.
Some people do like the 16-8, or they do like they just go right for it. They do like, oh, I'm going to only eat for 6 hours in a day, and I think that's hard on the body. It's hard to make a change like that on the body. So I always say go slow. If you're making a change in your life, any change, you want to kind of you want to have a slow ease into it. And so I usually tell folks, skip breakfast once a week, or skip dinner once a week, and start with that. Start with one, and
that's
then
what I
ease
into know. Like what is going to be something that is doable and not too uncomfortable.
Right. So that would be like you're eating from 12 to 7 or 12 to 8. You're doing like an 8 hours window of eating.
Okay.
And you would have a 16-hour window of not eating.
Okay, awesome. We have a question from Lesbianis562. Does the body hit some type of euphoria when fasting?
We notice that people feel more energetic. I don't know about euphoria, but because to me, euphoria is like you're high, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you get high off of it. You might get delusional if you're fasting long enough, like, people who fast for a couple days. But I don't think you're going to get euphoric, but you will notice energy if you continue it.
Okay. And just somebody had asked if you're regular on my stream. So what we're going to be doing is, just for those who would like to mark their calendars or set a reminder, because I know that the notifications, unfortunately, on Twitch are kind of glitchy as of right now. So we're going to be doing segments every other Thursday around noon. I figure noon might be a good time if people are on their lunch break or just want to break from, work, or can have the time of day to, check in. So every other week, I'm working on kind of posting something on my Instagram to get some feedback as far as what things you guys are interested in.
Yeah.
Dr. Millen specializes in integrative medicine, so it's kind of like everything, like supplements and herbs, like that I'm very interested in, which I'm sure everyone else is as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many topics that we would love to touch base on, and she has so much information. I'm like texting her all the time and like being like, what about this or what about that? Or so yeah, so and this is also a great time to also ask if you guys would like to do a favor for me, is to answer or to follow us on Instagram. So we're at Lotus IHN, which is Lotus Integrative. Wait, is it IHN? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. IHN.
Or lotusintegrativehealth.com. We're on
Yes.
the web.
Yeah. So the website is on the screen here, and then we'll have someone post the Instagram if somebody could. So Vero asked, what's the healthiest way to introduce IF? So we kind of touched base on that.
But let's go into it a little more, because I have some tips for people, and then because then we're going to end up having to wrap it up. So I think going slow is key. I think skipping a breakfast or a dinner, and then kind of coming up with a plan. Like, are you going to skip breakfast or dinner? I always found, somebody said to me, "Oh, breakfast is dinner is so much easier to skip." Well, for me, dinner is the only time I have with my family. So I don't skip dinner. I skip breakfast. I started with, 1 or 2 times a week, and then slowly eased into it, and then kind of made that a regular, sort of regular thing for myself. And then now I'm at a point where I'm doing 3 days a week, and I fast from the night before till about 4 in the afternoon. And that's how far I'm getting on 3 days a week. Now, my weight loss hasn't been excessive. I've lost about 2 pounds a month. But what I'm seeing is a lot more energy, a lot more, less trouble sleeping, a lot of those health benefits. And I think in the end, with the decreased inflammation, because that plays a part in being overweight, slowly with time, you're going to see a decrease in your set weight with the decrease in insulin levels. And so I always tell people, go slow. There's no rush, right? Also, you want to eat healthy the other times. You're not going to, if you're going to eat, a cheeseburger at the end of the day, there's really no point in fasting. You want to keep it healthy.
So it's okay to start off with not every single day.
Yeah, I think
just like 2 or 3 days a week.
Right.
Going from there. Okay.
And I think that was the mistake I made too. I just did every morning for a week, and then it was like I felt miserable. Right? You got to ease yourself into it.
Right. Okay. Amanda Cortez says, is she intermittent fasting in the mornings? But it's only because I don't wake up early enough to eat. And that's kind of like I was telling you. I normally don't eat until about noon. And then so it's kind of like I skip breakfast, but it's not really breakfast because it is still my first meal of the day. I'll still like make my eggs, but it's kind of like my breakfast and lunch, and then I have like a bigger dinner, and then it's kind of it. But I think but I'm like, okay, well, if I already am like on some kind of schedule like that, then I could possibly incorporate fasting and have it more like a scheduled thing.
Right.
Scheduled thing.
I mean, the idea would be to have 2 meals then, not have any snacks and have 2 meals.
So this is a good one. DJ Slim D said that he started off by not eating before morning workouts. Now, how about that? Because I would assume, like me, I don't work out like I used to, but when I would work out in the morning, I felt like I would need something in my body to like, otherwise I'm just tired working out.
Yeah, you don't
Or,
need to eat. I actually don't think eating before workouts is good. I think he's right. I think it's better to eat after.
mhm.
Um, because when you digest, you're diverting, you're in a what's called a parasympathetic state. So basically, you should be when you eat, you should be sitting down and resting afterwards so that you can optimize your digestion of your food.
Okay.
So that is sort of the key. I think we've kind of gotten into this eating and running thing, and I think that's bad for digestion. It's bad for getting nutrients. And on that note, I would say that doing intermittent fasting is extremely difficult if you don't have good nutrients in your body. So, I think having a multivitamin, making sure you're eating enough fruits and mostly vegetables, not even too many fruits, because obviously we want to keep that insulin level down. The if you're not taking enough nutrients in, well, that's why you're hungry, because if you don't have enough vitamin C in your body, then you're going to crave an orange or something
Right.
fruity. If you
Right.
don't have enough vitamin B complex, you don't have enough some of the vitamin B's, you might be craving something sweet, and you're actually craving. Sometimes I think we mistake hunger. The mistake we're making is we're hungry because we're not getting enough nutrients, and so and why are we, or we're thirsty.
I was
Some
gonna say, I
people.
remember you telling me that you're thirsty. Drinking,
Yes.
drink water first and see how you feel.
Yes, exactly.
Mama Cookie, a dear friend of mine. She asked, what does Dr. Chabakar use to track her fasts, if any? And then somebody else, I don't know if this can be
Hmm.
kind of the same thing. Somebody had mentioned, hey, Miss Fran Cookie. Um, they had, Mrs. Sam mentioned that it's fasting a state of mind. I ate last night and it's almost 1 p.m. and I haven't eaten yet, but I wasn't fasting. That's kind of how I am too. Like,
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I have stuff to do, or I work my other job in
Hmm.
the mornings from like 9 to 12, and the next thing I know, I'm like, oh yeah, it's already noon. Like, I guess I should eat something, because I'm not necessarily starving, but I can feel that I'm hungry.
So tracking, I don't track. If anybody has any good ideas on tracking, I just kind of have Monday, Wednesday, Friday as my thing. So, and I've been adjusting it. I started with Tuesday, Thursday, and then now I'm just shifted over to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I dabbled in doing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, but I like to eat a little more on the weekends. So,
Yeah,
I realized maybe I'll leave my weekends free to eat a little bit more and then do my fasting when I'm busy at work. It kind of makes more sense. So I don't track them per se, but I don't think it's a bad idea, especially if you're starting out. And you could use. A lot of folks use those food tracker, Lose It, or um, what's the other one, Fitness Pal, to track their food and their intake. So you could do that, and that would be a great way to kind of also track your carbohydrates. If you want to kind of limit your carbohydrates, I think limiting your carbohydrates and kind of combining intermittent fasting with keto diet might be a good way to lose weight. Again, no proven research that any of these things work long term, but they can get you in that direction. And I think going slow is better than going fast. You see a lot of people who lose weight really quickly on intermittent fasting. They're doing it really intently, and they don't really lose a lot of weight and then they gain it right back, right? You
yeah,
stop and you gain it right back. For me, intermittent fasting is sort of a state of mind. I think I'm using it as sort of um, for health reasons, long-term health reasons, for longevity versus not just weight. I mean, I'm hoping I lose weight along the process, but we'll see what happens. But I also see myself improving in health, and I think that's kind of why I'm doing it. And like I said, my family's overweight, so 70% of overweight folks are 70% of our weight is determined by our genetics. So, you know, um, but I'm trying to toy with that 30% and see if I can improve my health and decrease carbohydrates, decrease insulin, and therefore increase longevity. So, um, you were talking, and she had another point, which was if you're not doing it purposely, it's probably because you're also your body's listening to it itself, right? I mean, if you've eaten a big heavy meal at night, you're not going to feel hungry till noon the next day. And
Right.
that's just, you're listening to your body, and it's great that you have that connection with what you're eating. And I think that's the most important thing, is uh, having that connection with your body and your mind, and your spirit, and really using those three to come to what's healthy for you. And that's a personal thing. This isn't for everyone, and everyone doesn't need to do this. I've got people who are perfectly fine eating the way they eat, and they feel healthy, and their labs are normal, and they don't have any diseases. And I think, do what works for you. For those of us who want to work, if you have hypertension, I would be careful in diabetics. I think diabetics are on a lot of medications, and so you have to really work with a provider when you're on medications and doing this stuff.
Right. Mhm.
So that's a we have a lot of interest again, huh? We've got lots
Yeah.
of questions, and I love it.
Yeah, me too. JJ asks, she's heard of people doing intermittent fasting and had hair loss. What do you need to do to avoid that? Is that just incorporating vitamins from the get-go? Is it something
Yeah.
you just kind of see how it happens,
Uh,
and then how your body reacts to it, and then incorporate
yeah.
more?
I think you have to look at your own body as an individual. I do think having enough nutrients is really important. So if you decrease the amount of food you're taking, that decreases the amount of nutrients you get in your body. So, a lot of folks are doing keto to reduce carbohydrates. Well, carbohydrates, unless grains, and they're not really contributing a lot to nutrients. Nutrients are coming from vegetables. We're getting a lot of nutrients and minerals from vegetables,
Mhm.
nuts, avocados, things like that. You're not getting a lot from rice or bread, right? You're getting more carbs.
I love
So
rice and bread though so much.
there's nothing like a good sourdough, a slice of sourdough. That's heaven.
Like,
San Francisco sourdough.
white rice, fried rice, basmati rice. Oh my God.
I can't eat my, chicken. My family's from India. I can't eat my chicken without my rice. It just doesn't taste good.
Yeah,
I substitute for cauliflower rice, and
I've heard. I
and
haven't tried it yet. I think we have some in the
it's
freezer.
great. It's
It's a
great.
little.
Yeah, it's great.
um,
I get it from Trader Joe's. It's frozen. I just warm it up, and I put a little bit of regular rice in there, and it gives me the feel. So
I like to that I call it crack. It's from Trader Joe's. It's like a brown rice, like seed medley, and it's so good. It's
yeah.
brown rice, but it's still rice. But I mean, I don't know. I like to think it's healthier.
I want to give some tips. Is there any other questions? I want to give some tips before we leave.
Okay. So once again, if you are not following, please do so on Instagram at Lotus IHN on Instagram. We like to post a lot of helpful topics and posts. We do post daily, but we have like inspiration quotes, health and wellness posts.
Yeah.
We would really appreciate it. We're trying to get numbers up, so if you could follow us, that'd be great. Alyssa went ahead and posted the link, and then you can also just search Lotus IHN.
Hey,
Um,
Alyssa.
I have Alyssa and my sister Cecilia in here too.
Oh, Cecilia's in there too.
Yeah,
Oh.
so we got 3 robust sisters in the house right now. Thank you, sisters, for supporting me. I appreciate you guys and all of you guys.
Yeah.
Means a lot, and I'm like, so it's so exciting for me to do this. Any other questions? We're gonna just go maybe for about another 12 minutes or so.
Yeah.
We
I
are
want to give some tips before we because I know
We're
people
gonna so our goal is to kind of introduce this every other Thursday. For those of you who are not here when we said that, every other Thursday would I would love to get some ideas for topics or things that you're interested in. And then again, if you are in the state of California, we do telehealth in at our practice. So if you are interested in, I mean, you can't not love Dr. Millen. She's amazing, but
Oh,
she
you're so
just
sweet.
she has helped me a lot in just things here and there. But I really think that if you're interested in working on not only like your health, but just wellness in general, she's great at coaching and whatnot. Someone did have a question. It doesn't really pertain too much to our topic, but I'm more than welcome to. Maybe we can get it close to what we're talking about right now. The real Bill Pill wants to know, how about men 60 and over seem to hit plateaus with weight? And I'm sure
Yeah.
it goes for women too, but yeah.
It's
And
totally hormone related. I mean, again, weight is hormone related. And men face a lot of issues because their testosterone levels are going down. So, one of the things that I'm working on, and I think that's going to be our next topic, is hormones and how to kind of, I know we have a lot of different types of people on the group here, but our men over 40, 40-ish, 45 really need to start addressing testosterone health, and testosterone replacement is sort of the research is showing that testosterone is integral to weight, to cognition, to memory, to energy, lots of different things. And so that plateau or that weight gain you're seeing in our menopausal and what we call andropause, or for men when their testosterone levels go down, is that it's related to their sex hormones. And so sex hormone replacement is really going to help with vitality, energy, and helping with weight. So yeah, great question. It's totally related to this because we're talking about weight too. Intermittent fasting is something that you can try with this, and that'll help raise the metabolic rate, decrease insulin, and that'll interface with the other hormones because insulin is also interacting with those other sex hormones. But yeah, that's something that you might want to. You can call us if you're in California, and I can talk to you about testing for testosterone levels, and we do testing for all the hormone levels in women, young women and older women. And same with guys too, if you're worried about your testosterone level. Some men do have lower testosterone levels.
Alyssa repeated a question because I think I missed it up there, but somebody had asked, what if you're anemic? Would intermittent fasting be safe?
Yeah, again, I think you need an iron supplement, and you can buy that over the counter. Again, test your level and make sure you know what's normal and what talk to your healthcare provider. You can come to us. I don't recommend anyone do intermittent fasting if they haven't had sort of a good baseline. We do a nutritional evaluation, and I feel like that's the reason you see these sort of symptoms of weight loss, hair loss, and sort of lack of energy, and then of course the issues with people just doing it for a week like I did last year and then dropping off because now I'm on supplements and taking taking vitamins and taking vitamin D, and if you're anemic, take iron, because if you're not eating enough, you're not going to get those nutrients, and then intermittent fasting isn't going to work for you. So having your nutrition is really important. Do we have any other questions? Because I'm going to go over my tips for intermittent fasting before we close out.
Yeah, so we have about 7 minutes left.
Okay.
If you do have any questions, feel free to go ahead and put them in the comments. I just want to thank you guys again for joining us. We're going to try to keep this more to just like an hour stream. Otherwise, we can just go on and on and on.
I know. That's why I was like, let's go over the tips. I'm like,
also,
okay.
Also, too, thinking we may do something where we do kind of like a Zoom, like roundtable in the future. If you guys are interested in doing something like that, where it's just like the first 10 people who are interested, we can kind of get a little bit more specific with things. These are all great things that I would like us to have accessibility to, and Dr. Mara will be great with that. So we've kind of been talking about doing things like that. So maybe after a month or so we've done this, we can kind of get an idea if people are interested in that, because we can get more in depth as far as things that we can be working on. It's just exciting. It's really exciting. There's a lot of things that
this is fun.
This
is fun. And I think the last time, you told me we hit 200 plus people who saw the video. And, in my mind, I've been doing this for 22 years. I see about 3 people an hour in a regular medical practice. Of course, our medical practice, our health practice here, I do about 1 patient per hour. I mean, most of my consultations are about an hour. And the idea of being able to help that many people with information that is useful is just really profound for me. I mean, just really, I think both of us were really excited that we could reach people and at least give them some basic health information. Obviously, every person's an individual, and so if you want that one-on-one and really personalized care, you would come into the practice and we would help you. And we take care of I take care of everybody. But should I wrap up with the tips on intermittent fasting?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll go ahead and do that. And we have
Okay.
about 5 minutes left, but if we go
Okay.
over, it's totally fine. And then we'll just give out our information again. And yeah,
Okay. So
some
I
tips.
think if you're looking at doing intermittent fasting, figure out what you're doing it for and why, because you want to make sure you understand that we still don't know. Some people are losing weight, some people aren't losing weight. Again, I think there's a lot of personal factors that play into it, but it does improve health on many levels. So number two, go slow. Start with just eliminating snacking. I think that's a big step for some people. And then eliminate your snacks and then go to just skipping breakfast. Make sure it fits, or skip dinner. Make sure it fits, whatever you're skipping fits with your other schedules, your work schedule, your workout schedule, your friends, your family. Like for me, I like to hang out with my family on the weekends and we like to eat a little bit. So I'm not going to do intermittent fasting on the weekend. Make sure you get support from your people around you, whether it's your friends or family, your significant other. You want to be supported if you're going to do this. This is a lifestyle change. And if you are going to be fasting, consider getting electrolytes, no sugar drinks, or there's packets that you can get with salt replacement. Sometimes that's helped me the longer term intermittent fasting. I fast till 4 and I've noticed that I get really thirsty, but somehow the water isn't helping me. And then adding a little bit of electrolytes to my water helps. Again, no sugar. That defeats the purpose. And then, I would add exercise in there. You might want to start with just doing intermittent fasting and not having exercise on those days. But as you slowly expand it and really move slowly, it's taken me 2 months to get to a level where I'm doing just starting my third day now, and I'm just starting with skipping breakfast on that third day. So I'm really have been, over 8 weeks, really slow about introducing it. And I think make it a long-term life change if you really feel like it's going to benefit you in your health, rather than doing it for the short term to lose weight. I don't think it's really going to solve um, a huge weight loss issue. I think it's more of a long-term lifestyle change. And then adding that exercise in before you eat. So like for me, I do exercise before I eat dinner. So that's kind of my tips and obviously I think it's better if people have a nutritional analysis. Hormones play into it. So if you feel like you have hormone issues, your periods are off, your testosterone is low, you might want to do not only a nutritional analysis, a hormonal analysis. We provide both of those. And if you're depressed, this might not be a time to do that. I think, focus on, I know a lot of folks are feeling the pressure of coronavirus. And so it's good to kind of address those issues, and you can come in and we can address those issues. Depression can be addressed with nutrition and lifestyle change, in addition to medications. But um, and then really using herbals and supplements. That's why it's good to talk to a professional. I know a lot of people I think anybody can go out and get a multivitamin. Not all multivitamins, not all supplements are made the same. So be really careful in what you're choosing to supplement if you're going to intermittent fast, and consider getting the pharmaceutical grade supplements and vitamins, which is what we sell here. I don't think vitamins. I think, people ask me, can I get vitamins from Costco? Vitamins from Costco are generally okay. Costco does a good job of making sure quality is good. But, even all the folks that I've been treating have converted to buying supplements from us because they've seen the difference in the nutritional availability in their supplements. So consider getting some medical advice or getting some health advice, and if it's not us, anybody. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of this helpful information. I mean, I learned a ton, and I'm looking forward to hopefully, maybe, possibly,
We're
uh,
going to get you started. We're
your
going to get you
lifestyle.
started.
Yes, yes. So again, thank you guys so much. If you could please follow us on Instagram. That's kind of like, I mean, I think a majority of us are on Instagram almost every day, getting tips and just things to help with your lifestyle on our Instagram. And then we always have our contact information as well. So if you are interested, we do are in the state of California. We have our office located here in the Bay Area, but we also do, online appointments as well. So
I'm looking into doing health coaching for people outside of California. So if you're interested, just reach out to us and we can talk.
yes. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys all have a great day. Today's Thursday. I'm not sure when I'm gonna stream again. I'm gonna be visiting family, and I'm not sure if I'll be available this weekend. But thank you all for your support and tuning in, and thank you, Doctor. We will be back in 2 weeks. I will be sure to post what we're going to be discussing, and hopefully, you guys will all be able to join us again soon. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks for listening. See you soon.